recently. I've been in 2 shows that have been nominated, and I'm starting to become the next level actor that I've worked hard to become. Along the way, I've learned some tricks. I've learned how to break out of my shell. I've watched videos of my performances, and I've seen, like, I wish I had seen this video before I did the show, because I would have done it more better. It's like sometimes you think you're doing a really great job as an actor, and then you see yourself on tape and you go like, oh, I wasn't doing what I thought I was doing. I've learned how to be bigger, bolder, braver, stronger, take more risks. I've learned how to fine-tune myself as an actor, and I've learned how to draw upon other actors and other experiences in my life and bring them into my acting. So the more I learn, the more it seems to snowball, the more opportunities I get. I feel like a successful actor. After 35 years of doing this, I've had feature films, I've had leading roles in plays and musicals, I've worked at 20 or 30 different theaters in this area. I've worked in all different areas and aspects of the theater and film world and the virtual reality world now. And now I'm tackling this YouTube channel as an expression of myself as an actor, and I'm working as a director now. The narrative is continuing on. It is possible to be an actor and be a working actor and to be a happy working actor and a successful working actor. You just have to define what that level of success is for you. You have to constantly be willing to pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and learn new skills, and keep going, keep going, keep going. I hope that my story is an inspiration to you. If there's anything that I said here today that made a little bell go off for you, please tell me down in the comments below, because I would love to hear what your perspective of this is. And as always, if you see or know somebody who is an actor and might benefit from this, please share this video with them. And if you want to see more videos,
that's my brother's new YouTube channel, right? And so that's him. It's under Augmented Actor if you search it. And the only, it's kind of cool that he's doing it, and he's got some really good stuff on it. He has a directorial debut. He's been an actor for all this time, but now he's finally directing plays, and he's doing the kind of the Christmas Carol, essentially under, I think it's called the Scrooge and Marley up in Seattle. So it's kind of cool that he's doing that. And anyway, so I thought I'd intro this video with me brother on there doing his thing. And there was a lot on my mind, but I kind of got it out with other people earlier in conversation. And I've spoken today to like 3 friends, well, chatted with 3 of them, about ready to speak with another. And I probably, I don't know, I've got messages from a few people. This morning I sent out a text to a guy and a fellow artist that I had the weirdest vivid dream about him last night, about being in this empty ski resort and seeing his paintings painted like on 3D transparent, like it was like a wall hanging that had a big bubble on it, and the painting was painted both on the inside of the bubble, on the wall, and on the outside of the bubble. And there were like several of these like transparent walk around sort of almost 3D-esque type of paintings that were, not virtual space paintings, but actual paintings in the dream. It was just this weirdly impressive dream. And then I was recounting to this fella about how I met this lady in a bar a long time ago. And So oddly enough, when I got off the phone with him, even though I had to make these other calls, I ended up seeing that she was live on Messenger. So I haven't talked to her in some time now, but I decided to text her and tell her that she came up in conversation, and we are planning in 15 minutes of having a phone call. And I told her that maybe I'll record the call, right? So I'll have to get her permissions on that. Being, you know me, Mr. Permission. I like to get people's permission on stuff. That's right. You all know I like to get people's permissions. Oh, yeah, lots of crazy crises have happened in the last 48 hours that just fucked me up big time, which was that, well, so I was going in to have a consultation with my orthopedic surgeon, my second orthopedic surgeon, about whether or not he'd be willing to slice the tendons in my toes, right, on the bottom part of my toes, right, to make my toes actually, like most people's toes, when they walk forward, the toes will bend back and they can bend way back, and then they push off from them. Well, mine, they only push down. They don't go up. Anyway, so I was talking to him like, hey, remember when you said you could slice those toes and then you could bend them back, right? Because they're kind of locked in place, and so I'm always like a ballerina, like always putting pressure on my toes when I walk, on the tips, so to speak. Meaning, it's one of my crises and part of my pain and part of my gait and blah blah blah. So I went out to see him, but since I can't drive, right, my mom, decided to pick me up. My mom's still around. So is my dad. And so she comes and picks me up, and we go out and we see that doctor. And then she's getting really tired because she's not a spring chicken. And anyway, and we're out closer to where they live, which is some bit of difference, in the valley here where I live. And so she says, "Well, look, I'll drive over to our place, and your dad can take you back to your place because my dad's still around." Well, anyway, they were getting a toilet installed in their house, and so I was over there kicking it, and the toilet guy left, and my dad was kind of fiddling around, getting ready to come take me, and he was in the bathroom, and apparently, right, I'm in the living room, and I hear just this huge bunk that sounded like maybe their furnace or the water cooler or some huge shelf fell over in their basement, I thought. And it turns out, I was like, I'm like, okay, something's up. So I get and I start moving in my funky way into like, okay, my dad's not where he normally sits. So I race back to his bedroom, and he just fell straight over. Boom, right on his face. And he was just there motionless. And so I went over immediately and got behind him and grabbed his shoulders, and he started to move. And I mean, he didn't know how or why he had fallen over. I just, anyway, I think he tripped on something, because another thing about my family is that all of the offspring inherited on my dad's side were duck-footed. We're not pigeon-toed, right? And we get that from my dad. My dad's very duck-footed also. So I suspect that he tripped by hitting his foot on this little kind of the door frame that extended from the wall. But everything led to the idea. We ended up going to the hospital and everything because we weren't certain, and he blacked out in it. And so the whole evening was a bit of weird crises. It was a bit of crises. Anyway, and meanwhile, I'm trying to figure out something with the painting, and so get a load of this, right? So I'm painting this here orb, right, which is an orb that I believe this is the correct date, was November 27th, 2007, that I argue this orb came across this living room when I was with this old girlfriend of mine that messed my whole universe up, right? It was this first breach in my universe. And anyway, so here I am at a hospital, and this woman comes in to register my parents, right? And basically take the information, because they're gonna start running tests on my dad to find out what the fuck's up. And because his blood pressure was oscillating from 162 all the way down to 102 on like the systolic end, and the diastolic end, whatever, was moving really dramatically as well. And it turns out that they said there was some enzyme that was considering that he had a heart issue. But anyway, so fucked up thing was, this woman comes in, and there's something about her that is immediately reminding me of the same woman that I met, or that I was with, when I saw the orb. Now, I didn't start painting this little orb into this painting until the morning of this whole doctor's visit two days ago. These 2 doctor's visits. Well, anyway, yeah, my doctor, he told me he wasn't going to cut. He'd cut the small 4 toes. This is just an, second point to the matter, right? That he would cut my 4 little toes tendons, but not the big one. Anyway, the whole point was, is I'm in there, and this woman comes in, and she's reminding me, she's got this weird wit about her, and she reminds me of the woman who I was dating. Not the woman that I'm planning on calling here, but this other woman. And then it turns out she tells me, because I go out into the lobby and start chatting with her while they're having my dad piss in a bottle or something in the back and giving him his privacy. I go out there, and she's like, "Oh, I guess you're driving your parents around." And I said, "Oh, it's just the opposite. They're driving me around." And I said, "Yeah, they took me to a foot doctor because they have these feet issues." And then immediately she tells me, about the same time that I got my DUI, she says her son died of a meth overdose, but that he had hung himself. Something like that. It was like this double story thing. And anyway, it just kind of messed me up, right? So then I wanted to do a recording of me saying that, right? So anyway, and I just thought it was very peculiar, because then I go into mental lockdown mode. All of a sudden, the seriousness that my dad might be dying, because they're finding out this heart stuff, and this woman disclosing this and reminding me of the same woman that I met, who I saw the orb with on the same day, 11 years later, right? The exact same day that I just happened to be painting, and I wasn't even remembering the date. I put the orb in lots of paintings. It's kind of my own track record. And anyway, and then to see this woman that reminded me of that, and then 20 minutes later in 2007, after we see the orb, she gets a phone call from her dad saying that her granddad died. And so that was this weird sense of like, maybe there's something going on that's metaphysical, supernatural, spiritual, if you will. And if you won't, just bear with me, right? But there was just this odd coincidence. So I took this huge liking to this woman. I wanted to know more. So I was like, "You look too young to even have a 25-year-old. And she says, "Oh, it was a gift I got at college when I was 18. So just the way she was phrasing stuff was so fun. Anyway, I got a little notice here. Let me see what's up. This is yet from someone else. Da da da. You were trying to push your superior knowledge of the philosophy for urban dictionary thinkers down my ear hole. Just to give you guys even yet another ex-girlfriend that is sending me weird shit. But no, so then all that happened, and then I was on the phone with this fella in California and talking to him about advising him, hey, you got to go to a bar and hang out and maybe read, even though he doesn't drink, maybe read, right? And to meet women. Or just to socialize for that matter, right? And anyway, the point though is that, and I said because I met this woman at a bar, and it wasn't just that I met her at a bar, but I'm unnerved at the idea that she would see the recording of what it is that I told him about how it is and why it is she became my girlfriend. But I'll probably just tell you anyway. God, why didn't you guys type that I look so damn ugly in this? Anyway, so, and there's Barkler. Yep, 2007. Was it really 2007 with the orb? I thought it was something else. No, it was 2007 with the orb. There's other shit that happened in 2010, and then other shit that happened in 2011. But yeah, so maybe I won't disclose it, come to think of it. Anyway, all I know though is that I'm supposed to talk to her in about 3 minutes. I'm going to give her a call. I'm going to get my hair looking good, even though she won't be seeing me. Take some of those freckles out of my face. Get rid of my big bird. And then I got to paint some weirder shit than what it is I'm painting. Anyway, so there's all that, right? And it's, this, God, everybody has gone on, their lives have just gone on in the directions they are. And I haven't talked to this woman in so long. So anyway, the point is if she says, I don't want you to record me, I'm going to have to hang up. I'm going to have to call this one quits. I'll have to be privatizing it and doing my weirdism here. Since I have 3 minutes, let me meditate on a laser. You're supposed to be, I'm trying to generate a proper laser beam. Where I want that laser beam coming from, probably right there. I'm going to run a laser through this ghost thing. And you should do a purple laser. I'm thinking of purple laser. Let's do purple laser. I'm kind of oscillating, but anyway, and I went to this bar last night, and I'm not drinking lately. And I also had to go to this. I went to this treatment center because, court-ordered treatment. I'm like, hey, I shouldn't be here. I'm not even drinking anymore. I don't even, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm not a user, And anyway, but there was this really, really beautiful woman there at the treatment center who looked kind of like a less Italian-looking Sarah Silverman, and was trying to be a little funny also. And so she was fun, even though she said, this isn't going to count to help your court thing, but I'll sign a paper so it'll show the court's good initiative. And blah, blah, blah. Look at all this I tell you guys. I tell you, why am I telling you guys my problems? And that laser should be up, now, down, over. 3 minutes, 3 minutes. All right. We'll have this just like going. And the whole idea, because I got haunted. It was haunted, I tells you. What was I haunted about? I was haunted about this figure that I painted behind this figure. Like, this figure is coming to hunt this figure. Shit, that's not even lined up. Man, I fuck everything up. I shouldn't say that. But I'm feeling like I fuck everything up. Anyway. That laser going out a little bit. This may be fading somehow. The whole point, and I got even nervous about the little things that I have to do here. Anyway, blah 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 blah. Lots of weird stuff, you know, the universe mirroring, not just in social media, believing everything's a search engine coincidence. It goes beyond that, right? It's like the third Matrix, where the Smith program actually enters into Neo's reality and starts, you know, blinding him and fighting him and stuff. Like, that's more appropriate to the nature of the symbolism and refraction and actual aspects of the universe in which I live in, and which other people garner all these symbolic coincidences and metaphors, not just within their media standing, but their universe standing. And thinking about Christopher Michael Langan talking about sino difference in the mirrored reflection of language to reality and all of that as well. Is, you know, all I know is that I find it all peculiar, and I also find it reinterpretable in a secular fashion. Oh, and I picked up and was reading before I make my call Bertrand Russell's The Principles of Mathematics. I'm writing my book on contradiction. He has a whole chapter on contradiction. And in one way, it's throwing some bit of a wrench into part of my thesis in my book. But part of my thesis is based also on the idea of a cultural paradigm, the group community paradigm, not of what pure logic is within mathematics or what propositional contradictions are per se, but on what it means for classes of people to hold a class of cases about elements within a case, being a member of a class, and then the class is furthering a class of multiple cases, such as when I do the phone call, I presume there are actual dots within each one of these dot boxes. And so you'd say a member of these resides in here, and that there's a corresponding like member within those boxes. But we wouldn't want to confuse the class of boxes with the class of members of the boxes, and so forth like that. But part of identification is necessarily relative to semantic properties of people. And the other thing is that part of the argument is that about the codicy of the grapheme, not just in written text, but now that we have surveillance apparatuses watching us that are encoding data about us, that is much different than the population of people that Russell grew up amongst, or that I grew up as a child amongst, where a code of computer data and hence grapheme sets and information traveling through radio waves was not predominantly known, or it didn't exist at that time. So what does it mean to have a class of data over individuals that are using data? And it made me think about scientists that, like an image of a scientist peering into a petri dish, and that petri dish has scientists in it, and then the scientist realizes he's himself within a petri dish. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to do my best to see how this goes. Like I said, I might have to hang up immediately. Scooby Doo, it's been a long time, lady. See if she's there. Hello? Hey, yeah, I'm trying to figure out what your volume is. Are you, I'm gonna try to put you on speak, but do you, well, we could call each other on the phone, but hey, are you opposed to me recording our call? Like I said, you said hi. I figured that probably meant that you weren't game, or maybe it meant that you were find it okay, but kind of odd. So it's up to you. I'm just saying. Well, see, because you're not on speaker now, but I do recorded painting sessions, and I was painting, but I mentioned like, okay, I'm going to make a call, but if she doesn't want me to record it, then I'm not going to record it, and I'm going to end it. So apparently I'm going to be ending it. I'll end the recording. So here I go. So for all you folks watching, paying attention, ending it. And she's giggling, thinking it's funny. All right. So there's all that. Yeah, secret.